everyone, and welcome to LycanhoodReads. My name's Michaela, and I'm coming at you today with an end-of-the-year book tag. So it's early November, which might be considered a little late for the end-of-the-year book tag, but what can I say? October was super busy, and I'm getting to it. The tag only consists of 6 questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in, and this is going to serve as my November update. Question number 1. What books did you start this year but still need to finish? So, I haven't started many books that I didn't finish that I planned to finish, if that makes sense. I have DNF'd some books that I wasn't enjoying. The only book that I can think of that I started to read but haven't finished it yet was the Infernal Battalion, and that's by Django Wexler. That's the last book in the Shadow Campaigns series that I've been reading all year long. So I definitely wanted to finish it this year because I wanted to be able to say just that I had finished the series, this year. I only have one book left. I'm reading it on audiobook, and I did start it, I think, back in September. I read like a couple of chapters, and then I got distracted by something else, probably something spooky. But so far, I have been loving the Shadow Campaign series. I absolutely loved the last book and Guns of Empire. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the series sort of wraps up. It's really spanning a lot of different storylines and characters at this point. So I'm excited to see how Django Wexler finishes the series, because there are other series of his that I'm interested in and sort of in the middle of. I definitely plan to finish the Infernal Battalion by the end of the year. It'll probably be finished by the end of the month, I hope. Like I said, I am reading it on audiobook. I think I was a little hesitant to start this final book in the series just because it is the final one. I have become so attached to some of these characters, mostly Winter, and I didn't really want it to be over for her. Also, some things happened at the end of the last book that I just wasn't emotionally prepared to deal with, so I was putting it off, but I do plan to finish it by the end of the year, and then I don't know if I'll get to the video by the end of the year, but I would like to do a review deep dive video of the entire series, so I can really get talking about it at length with spoilers and whatnot. Question number 2. What is a transitional or autumnal book that you read this time every year? So I wouldn't say that I have one book that I read every October, every fall necessarily. I don't do a whole lot of rereading just as a person, but I do like to spend this season, particularly October, reading spooky books and sort of exploring the horror genre as much as I can, but just spooky vibes in general is good enough for me. It doesn't have to be like a hardcore horror book. It's usually something more like sci-fi horror or some sort of like Scooby-Doo spoof, like with meddling kids or whatever. I like to get in the spirit of Halloween this time of year, and that sort of helps me usher in the end of the new year. That's about as close as I get to having some sort of annual autumnal read. There's not one single book that I read every year, though. Question number 3. Are there any books that you're still waiting to come out that you hope to read by the end of the year? I had a little bit of a struggle with this question because I couldn't really think of any more books coming out in November and December that I was looking forward to or anticipating. But I forgot about Katie Edwards' newest installment in the tarot card sequence. I'm not talking about the Hourglass Throne. I read that back in May. I'm talking about the Elderon, I think is how you say it. I'll put it up on the screen. It is actually going to be a little novella that takes place in the same time period as the Hourglass Throne. So it's not a full-length novel. I know it's supposed to come out this month, but I don't know that I'll be able to get it this month because I know that Katie Edwards made some sort of arrangement with the Rainbow Crate and that they're coming out with a special edition for their box for this month, and I was unable to pre-order that. So I'm not sure when this book's going to become available to a wider audience. I've looked on like Kindle, Scribd, Audible and whatnot. I don't know if it's like coming out to generally everyone this month or if it's just doing that Rainbow Crate release and then will be released at a later date. But regardless, I am looking forward to this one. This is probably the last new release that I was looking forward to this year. I'm not sure when I'll get to read it, but when I do, I'm sure it'll be great because Katie Edwards is the bomb. Let's see, question number 4. What are 3 books you still want to read before the end of the year? Well, so I've been mood reading for most of this year. If you guys have been keeping up with my videos, you can probably just sense the chaotic energy that has been guiding me. I don't have any solid plans for the end of the year other than that I want to finish that Shadow Campaigns series, so I want to finish the Infernal Battalion. I would also like to continue reading and possibly finish the Foundryside trilogy. I read the first book a couple months ago during the summer, and I actually just started Shorefall today. I've been trying to read it. I tried to read it for all of October, but I carried it around in my bag and I never actually got into it. But I started it today, got a couple chapters in, and I have high hopes. I don't know that I'll get to the third book and complete the whole series before New Year's, but that is something I would like to do. Beyond that, I'm kind of feeling like the spirit of the season is going to be a romantic rom-com sort of season. I'm currently reading Mistakes Were Made, which is a new sapphic rom-com release. It is adult. There's plenty of smut. One of the characters is college-aged, 24, I guess, and then one of the other characters is an older woman. She's in her late 30s or 40s. That's kind of the whole plot, is that they have this huge age discrepancy. I'm really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying it. It felt like the perfect kind of palate cleanser after all of my spooky books in October. And I kind of feel like that feeling's going to carry on at least through the month of November. There are a couple new releases I'm looking forward to. First of which being In the Event of Love, which looks like a super cute sort of Hallmark Channel Christmas movie, but sapphic. And let me tell you, I'm going to eat that up. I'm going to eat it up. Also sapphic and also Jewish is a YA kind of holiday sapphic rom-com vibe, and that is called How to Excavate a Heart. So I'm excited about both of those. I don't know that I'll read both of them by the end of the month or by the end of the year, but I do know that they're coming out this month, and I saw that I was going to be able to read them on Scribd, so I expect that I'll be reading those soon, and I'm just really glad to have something sapphic to read. 'Tis the season, because we're definitely lacking in sapphic Christmas or sapphic holiday content. And sapphics need love at Christmas too. Question number 5. Is there a book you think could still surprise you and be a 5 out of 5 stars for the year, or a new favorite book of the year? Maybe. It's possible. I've read some really good books this year. I've given out some 5-star ratings because I tried to loosen up and not be as strict with my ratings. I wanted to give the books I was reading and enjoying a little more love. So I feel like I've given out some 5 stars this year. I've read some really great ones. I'm not really ready to say what my favorite book of the year is, even though we're rounding on the end here. I will tell you that I got The Genesis of Misery back in September when it came out. I was super excited when it came out, but then I just got distracted by the fall and by spooky season, so I haven't checked it out yet. I would like to read it by the end of the year. I can't make that promise, but I would like to read it by the end of the year, and I think it has the potential to be mind-blowing. It has the potential to be a 5-star, and it has the potential to possibly be my favorite book of the year. Let's hope. And last but not least, question number 6 is pretty broad. Do you have any definite reading plans for 2023? The answer is not really. I kind of make these goals every year. I'm not sure if I'm going to reach my reading goal this year just because it has been such a rough and rocky year. But next year I'll probably set a reading goal sort of similar. I'm sort of circling around somewhere between 80 to 100 books these last few years, and I would like to break 100, but who knows? Who knows? Something that is also going to happen is I'm going to have to be a little more careful about book buying, and particularly buying new releases. Even though I told myself I wasn't going to be reading a lot of new releases this year, I definitely ended up reading a lot of new releases. I'm not sure how many. I'll probably let you know in one of my end of the year videos how many new releases I read. But I also own a lot of books that I still haven't gotten to. There's a whole handful of them right here. So one of my New Year's plans is to just read the books on my shelf that I haven't gotten to yet. Is to catch up on series that I haven't finished. It's to catch up on authors that I've been saying I wanted to try but haven't gotten to try. A great example of that would be Caitlin R. Kieran, who I have read. I read The Drowning Girl by her last year, and I've read some of her short stories this year. But I want to get into her. She's a dark fantasy and horror savant, right? She has a extensive reputation, and she's also a queer woman. She's got a lot of queer themes, a lot of trans themes in her books, and I just want to know more about that. She has such a huge library of work that I've just been sleeping on. And so I'm hoping that in a Christmas book haul I can buy maybe one of her collections, a collection of her short stories, or maybe a couple of her novels or something, and I can just really dive into her next year, because I want to be fluent in her work. I want to know more about what she has to say, what she's done with the genre. So yeah, that I would say that's definitely a goal for next year as well. Beyond that, I know that Adrian Tchaikovsky has a couple of books coming out either towards the end of this year or at the beginning of next year. And I love Adrian Tchaikovsky, and I haven't really gotten to read anything by Adrian Tchaikovsky since I read The Doors of Eden back at the beginning of this year. So I went most of the year without reading anything by him, and I am super excited for his third book in the Children of Time series. I'm also very excited about his new fantasy novel that I cannot remember the name of right now, but it has a really awesome cover. And I just think he's such an interesting writer. I've read mostly sci-fi stuff from him. And so I'm just interested to see what he does with this fantasy world and how his writing might differ, and just he's so different within the realm of sci-fi that I want to see in what ways he brings something new and fresh to the fantasy genre as well. So in general, I'm just excited to read his stuff next year. Maybe even some stuff that he already has out, because I've been trying to get my hands on Shards of Earth as well. So a lot of my plans for next year just involve certain authors and just sort of not buying as many books and trying to read what I already have, which I know is sort of the eternal book lover struggle. Am I right? And that completes the end of the year tag for 2022. As you can see, I'm a little bit disorganized. I don't have any solid plans for the end of the year or for next year. I'm just trucking along. I'm just trucking along on that mood reading train and doing the best that I can. But I am excited for the holiday season. I'm excited to read some holiday vibes, hopefully some of those holiday rom-coms that I mentioned. And I'm also looking forward to the new year and a whole nother year of reading. At the moment, I'm reading Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett, which is the second book in the Foundry Side trilogy. And I'm also reading Mistakes Were Made, which is kind of kicking off what I think is going to be a very rom-com holiday season for me. I hope you guys all have a great holiday season, be it Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you're doing. I hope it's good. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get to spend time with your family and that everyone stays safe. You can expect at least a couple of end of the year, best of the year, most disappointing of the year, gayest of the year videos from me. I'm going to do my best to put out at least a couple of those, but we'll just see, because, yeah, things happen. Have a great day. Goodbye.